All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in game number 1 of our grand finals for the Corsair Cup number 30. We're going to start down here in the bottom right-hand corner of the map, atop the blue Zerg player. He's been known for his Swarmo style as of late. Let's see if he does it again. Give it up for Guru.
And top left as the Red Terran, he is KeeN.
I feel like the cool thing about Guru's Swarmo style is that it's not just in one matchup. He's been doing it in like multiple matchups. I don't know if he's really been doing it a lot in ZvZ, but ZVT and ZVP has been doing it, so I think that's really cool that he's been like making it work across the board.
Yeah. It's nice to see them being experimented with again anyways. A couple months ago, you had a couple people that were using them, and one of them was Guru, and then he stopped for a while. Now he's bringing it back hard, and it's working against, you know, people on online cups, which is very different than actually making it work and making it viable in general, because, you know, KeeN also sometimes wins online cups, but you won't see him in offline tournaments like DreamHack or WWCS, right? Like there's difference between viable and like cheeky kind of not free one exactly,
Surprise.
but yeah, surprises, because it's not even cheesy the way he does Swarm Hoster. It's like a 2-base Swarm Host all in, like back in the beginning of Heart of the Storm. Those are really fun, but no, you don't do those anymore. It is part of his macro composition, and it's that issue is like, okay, right now people are having maybe a little bit of trouble against it, but then they realize it's gonna happen, they start like dealing with it no problem, then he's gonna have to rethink his plan. But speaking of plans, a 2-base Baneling all in? Really?
Huh. Okay, well, the Zergons do make their way across the map are just barely going to be missing out on killing off that SCV to delay the Natural Expansion Command Center, which is actually a big deal, because if he delays it long enough, I guess it can force the Reaper back, but not really going to be happening. Zergons will both get killed off in the main base after scouting out the factory going down, knowing that there's not going to be a fast starport or potentially even like a really fast siege tank. Should be really in his interest to go for this. He could get a lot done here.
He could win, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that there's no bunker is a big problem, but if you do find out this is happening, KeeN has an okay build against it. This isn't like he's going for a 3rd CC and has absolutely no production or something like that, but it is a matter of having something to help your Marines, because right now, yeah, they don't have the medevacs to help them pick up. They don't have Stim to help them split, but they do have decent production, decent-ish production. It's a complete surprise that the Spidey was going to be killed, no problem. He's going to try and pull the SCVs away, but he needs to start getting another wall up in his main base.
Oh, yeah, he's going to try and leave that command center on the low ground, just to soak up as many hits as possible before finally lifting it. Just buy himself a little bit of time, but Overlord on the high ground gets killed off. I guess that does deny some of the vision, if that matters for anything, but Banelings charge on in, busting down the wall, and nice Reaper Grenade. Softening up a lot of those,
oh, good focus fire.
Ooh.
Wow, and the SimCity usage of these 2 supply depots is really...
Wow.
I didn't think he was doing it on purpose, but that totally worked out. That might have been... That was impressive.
Yeah. Still got to be a bit careful. There are more Zerglings flooding on in, but I think for the most part, this has been held. 11 workers still end up going down, so it wasn't completely without taking any sort of losses. Still going to end up losing a lot more over here as the final couple of Zerglings are cleaned up, but yeah, as you were saying, like, that was an impressive hold. The problem is, again, like, he doesn't really have a 3rd command center like you were saying before. So is it too much damage?
I don't think so. I think you have to at least get 20, but honestly, with a 2-base Baneling all in against someone who has medevacs readily or almost readily available, I think you gotta, like, literally kill them or you're just gonna lose. Like, he didn't even kill all of the Marines, which is really surprising. So it might only be 1 medevac, which sucks for KeeN. He probably should have swapped the reactor off of that factory, but it is still this huge potential for not only comeback damage, you know, like counter damage, rather, killing drones, killing lings, forcing out lings, blah, blah, blah. It's also just, like, he'll take back control of the game. And he'll add on a 3rd CC eventually, and while Guru knows he's in trouble, he's trying to get a hidden 3rd base.
Yeah, this is going to be really interesting. But as you were saying, like, I think it's not necessarily just going to be about getting up that 3rd expansion. It's going to, I mean, maybe if he can force KeeN into thinking that he's going for, like, another 2-base all-in or something, like a really fast Spire, which, by the way, I think he's going to be going for a really fast Spire.
Yeah.
But I feel like Stim is already finished up. Combat Shields is going to be done pretty soon. Like, Stim was finishing up during that push-in. if KeeN just goes for the pushing across the map, what is Guru gonna have?
Yeah, that is a question, isn't it? And it's usually not a lot. The mutas are unfortunately like almost a they're a necessity, but they're not super good, to be real. Like, you can't have the medevacs constantly roaming around, so you gotta have something that's more dependable than just queens, even though the queens have their range upgraded. But unfortunately, when it comes to head-to-head engagements, you're not even gonna have that many mutas to be like even try and take an engagement with. Sometimes you have like 12 mutas. The Abram helps out. If you have 4 mutas, they're just gonna get target fired and killed. But you need to go for them.
Alright, well, Stim is finished out. The Baneling speed is nowhere near to even starting right now, but they are on creep for at least a little bit, but still just not able to get the connections done. And KeeN gonna use that focus fire once again, especially with Stim finished up. I mean, there's no way these Banelings should ever connect with the Marines.
Yeah, that would be KeeN's fault, for sure. He's about to lose some. He's...
Okay, getting slightly surrounded over there. I really do feel like he should have just picked up earlier.
Yeah, that was pretty bad, but he does still have these reinforcements. I mean, look at the drone, the worker count. It is fixed, basically, as KeeN is only down 7. That's with 2 mules. We do have 10 mutas. It's impressive that Guru was able to hold with that and bank 10 mutas worth of income here. And it really helps that his third base isn't just being shut down. If he had tried to take the third base at the regular location, that is instantly killed because he can't move off of creep.
Your forces are under attack.
He's continuing to push on in, but here come the mules. Got to be able to force this push back for at least a little bit, at least until the unload happens, and then tries to go after the Mutalists, and Guru's trying to fight this head on, and he's actually doing a pretty decent job of it so far. Hasn't lost any Mutalists.
Yeah, the one Marine coming out at a time was not so good. It was questionable, but it worked out favorably for Guru, and Guru now is taking the supply lead. Then KeeN, he had an opportunity to even win the game, I would say. If he cleared up the creep first and then checked around for third bases, he'd probably still be in a really good position and then would have backed off safely without losing too much. But now it's actually a little bit more of a game going on here. It's not just an instant loss for Guru.
Yeah, this is definitely looking a lot closer now, especially since third command center is finally going to be finishing up over here for KeeN. Okay, there it is. I was going to say, like, Guru's kind of neglecting his centrifugal hooks, but I guess he doesn't need to get it until just now because there's not really a fear of a push coming in. He killed off the medevac drop. KeeN could maybe do a few more medevac drops, but the Mutals are being so active that they're going to be able to keep a lot of these Marines at home. Ooh, nice Widowmine shot. And there's a lot of Liberators out now.
Yeah, that's enough to make sure these mutas shouldn't snowball anyway. Now the third base is like whenever it's seen here, KeeN is gonna have to start targeting it. He scans and says like, oh, I'm like so far ahead. It's definitely only 2 bases, but whenever he does find it, his third will provide that jumping off point for offense and defense. And it should be very hard for Guru to keep that base alive. He's kind of starting to spread creep now, and I guess it does kind of have like this high ground advantage that most of the thirds don't have. But
I think KeeN knows that something is wrong. He sends the Marines around the corners of the map looking for the hidden base, finds it, and is going to be able to kill off 1 or 2 drones over here with the Stim Marine. Actually, he might be able to kill off more. No, that's it.
Thank you to Lepsid1265 for the 12-month resub. It's been an entire year. I think you a word. With BaseTradeTV. Love you, ZG, Riff, and Fear Dragon. Here's another year into more dank memes. Can I have a proof now? Plex. Yeah, if you message BaseTradeTV, then they'll give you a form to figure out. That's how it works. Yeah. Thanks to Millet Memories for the 3 months resub too. I'm not so bad. Yeah.
Oh, you're wonderful.
You're alright, I suppose.
Baka.
Yeah, totally.
Alright, well, the Mutalist count is definitely grown and like maintained. I don't think he's lost 1 Mutalist this entire game, but the Corruptors coming out are going to be trying to deal with those Liberators. The Liberator count is not really growing any further than the 6 that are out, so if those Corruptors are able to kill off those Liberators, reduce the count down to like 3 or 2, then these Mutalists are going to be able to come in and do a lot more. But oh, here comes the big attempt to surround. Widowmine shot.
That was really dangerous for Guru to go off creep like that.
Yeah. Especially after the Widowmine shot killed off a lot of the Zerglings, and his Banelings were so far behind.
Yeah. This is looking, besides a third location, like almost a regular TvZ. Like the supplies look about okay, considering that the Zerg player had a pretty good mid game, is actually up in supply. The upgrades are a little wonky too, I suppose. That's where KeeN should have a really big benefit. 2-2 over what is, I guess, going to be 1-1, just barely.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Carapace upgrades finally coming out over here for Guru. Definitely very far delayed on those, especially compared to the point where we're going to have +2 weapons finished up for KeeN for a little bit before +1 Carapace finishes up for Guru.
It's interesting to see Guru invest in armor upgrades for his heir too, by the way. He got the +1 attack, which is almost like a given when you go for Aspire, but to go for the Carapace, you think like how much does it really help against Liberators? Not much. And how much do Corruptors actually need extra armor until like it's like that late game scenario when you're upgrading everything? Is that a worthwhile upgrade for what is still a very scrappy TvZ?
Yeah, I guess it reduces 2 damage from those Liberators, but yeah, it's not nearly enough. I guess it's maybe helpful if he needs to like man mode fight with the Mutalisk versus the Marines also. That does sometimes happen at the end of these engagements.
Yeah, it does. This army from Guru is so air heavy.
Yeah. I'm actually a little bit worried on the ground, but it doesn't look like he's going to be losing that ground fight. Oh god. Well, if he kept those Mutalisks alive, then I think he would have been able to kill off most of the Liberators. But we also have a drop on the south side. Oh god, it might be folks firing down the spawning pool.
Not gonna get it. Banelings, please. Banelings, please! Oh my god.
2 health!
Jesus.
2 health!
I don't think Kuro should be reinvesting into mutas. He still has enough Corruptors to provide some anti-air, kill Liberators, obviously, but also kill Medivacs. And, you know, besides that, mutas, what are they good at? They're good at, you know, countering and getting into the main base. That's not gonna happen anytime soon, whether he has them or not. And they're good at, like, sniping Marauders, I guess, and Widow Mines. I don't think that's something he's gonna be allowed to do either.
Well, he's taking a pretty good engagement over here, and with the Corruptors and the Mutalisks all coming in, they're gonna be able to kill off the Liberators as well. And suddenly, I think Guru actually has an opportunity to use these Mutalisks.
Yeah, that's the main command center floating over, by the way. KeeN, you know, KeeN has stopped producing Widow Mines? For how good his ground army could be, like imagine if he had consistent Widow Mine production and like he couldn't afford a second factory, but imagine if he could and he has like 6 Widow Mines at every single push. I think Guru actually just dies. But mass bio, while sometimes perfectly okay, it's not working yet. Guru is able to push this back. I still don't know about the mutas. I don't.
Well, pretty soon we're going to be at that weird stage where Terran player has +3 infantry weapons and there's going to be +1 Carapace for Zerg. That's probably not going to be that ideal, but I mean, there are still like a lot of different upgrades, even if they're not exactly even upgrades. He's got like his Carapace upgrades for his air army, as you mentioned before, and the flyer attacks, and he's got his Bailey upgrades, so it's not the worst place. I'm just really surprised. Like, I don't know if this has been a thing more recently that I've just missed out on, but going for the melee upgrades in this matchup with like this composition seems a little bit weird to me.
Wait, melee with Mutiling Bling or
melee before Carapace and Mutiling Bling? I think you usually go for Carapace first because you want your Banelings to survive for the hits. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I don't know actually. Talk about that afterwards.
Yeah.
This engagement, the muta count got up to 22, by the way, so that is much more than I thought he was gonna get to.
I think he's gonna be able to man mode this. Like, I think. Okay, well now the reinforcements coming in, it gets a little bit iffier. Okay, never mind. I take it back.
Well, okay, I really didn't think he was going to get up to 22 mutas. Of course, that went back down to 16. But also, KeeN stopped producing Liberators, which Guru might have noticed, but to hope they just completely stop building Liberators is like, it's a really dangerous thing to hope for.
Yeah.
And I wonder why KeeN has stopped. Well, KeeN doesn't have gas. He never took his 3rd base gas or his 4th.
Well, Spawning Pool ended up dying, so there's no more Zorgling reinforcements, which is actually kind of a big deal, because that means that no more Banelings are going to be made after this. And there's no ground army. The Mutalisks are pretty much the only things that can fight this army, and they're doing an okay job cleaning up, but they're definitely going to be taking a lot of losses on these Mutalisks.
Yeah. Is this it? This is KeeN just to that tipping points?
I think it's honestly has a lot to do with that Spawning Pool getting killed off. Guru has so many minerals, and look, he immediately makes 46 Zerglings, but imagine if he had actually had a ground buffer during that fight. He just didn't because he couldn't make the Zerglings.
Yeah, I think that's really what did Keta. Make it a win for KeeN, but he hasn't been doing so poorly that it was almost like Guru was gonna win. It just was like damn, Guru really made a game out of what I consider a failed Baneling all-in, but didn't fail enough. Like, he brought it back, and I'm sure everyone's critiquing KeeN. You know, this is an innovation, he would have won already, and maybe that's true, but Guru played. It's certainly an interesting game, too. Having that mass air army so early on in the game must have looked really weird to KeeN.
Yeah. Well, Guru's not giving up just yet. He's going to try and double expand to the 2 bottom left-hand bases. And the Mule's count is still high enough that it can at least put some pressure on. You can't just kind of leave your main base to be defended with like a missile turret or like a couple of Widow Mines. But it's only going to be able to do so much. There's some really nice zoning out coming out from KeeN, making sure that the army is in the centers and the top side, and now it's already pushing across the map. Baneling count is there, and it's going to be on creep.
There's a lot of Marauders that can soak up, and actually the Widow Mines burrow too, and yeah. Can't take that on. Oh, this army is pretty clumped up.
Yeah, gets some okay Baneling hits, but definitely not enough. Mutile's count also gets severely taken care of. And I think this is probably going to be it. The final hurrah of Guru.
GG.
KeeN takes game number 1 in the grand finals.
Fun game. It is going to be Guru's map choice now. There's a lot to choose from. The Frozen Temple is a bad map, especially if you don't have to worry about 3x Reaper. But there are certainly better Zerg maps like Apotheosis, which is what he chooses.
Oh. I'm just waiting. I'm just waiting for the Dasan Station Stormhost play.
I wonder if he was up 2-0 and then he lost, would he choose Dasan Station to do that? But only if he was up in the games.
You know, people always talk about like how, oh man, Dasan Station so clearly favors one particular race, but I feel like, and this is like one of my pet peeves. I hate when people say like this map severely favors a particular race. Maps favor strategies, right? And there are some races that have like really good strategies, like Frozen Temple, like it favors the 3-Rax Reaper aggression and everything. But I do feel like Dasan Station is one of those maps that nobody really still knows just yet what exactly the best all-ins or the best attacks are, because we just still see like so many different things happening on that map.
Yeah, I agree. I guess just like saying better for a race is shorthand for saying what the race is using strategy-wise.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
Now, because that's a pretty long thing to say, but I definitely see where you're coming from about being annoyed by that.
It's just one of those little small pet peeves, but we are going to be hopping on to Apotheosis for the first time today, so we'll see you guys there.
So many avenues.
Hey Zombie Grub, welcome everyone. We're hopping into the game now as I unmute us.
Are you fucking real?
I did so well! I did so well today!
Oh my god!
Alright, spawn down here in the bottom right hand corner, we have KeeN setting up 1 and 0, and up here in the top left hand corner, we have the green Zerg player Guru!
Oh my god, that's the worst! Oh my god, I can't, Green Dragon, I can't.
Just move on, nothing happened. Okay, so we do have, you know, Reaper didn't move across the map, KeeN, blah blah blah, hey, we're caught up.
We talked so much about the map and that's so good about this map for Zerg. I mean, we were on point, guys.
We had like good talk about Crossfire and old school maps. Okay, well, first scout comes in over here for KeeN, moves in with the Reaper, yes. Okay. Sorry. Look, we made it really far, okay? I didn't know I was gonna broadcast until like an hour before.
Yeah,
I had to be set up
the
last second.
Coming in.
I did pretty well, okay? Look, I did pretty well today.
Amazing. Alright, well, you know, as good as the filler was, it was just filler. There's nothing really important happening in this game until now.
Alright.
Oh, the double drop's gonna come in. Oh. Huh? Where's he going? What's he doing?
I don't know. He didn't really see much. He didn't really see like any units sitting around. He didn't see or get scouted as far as I was aware. He does go. It looks like Guru's going for the Spire, so he's gonna have to mutil us out because of this delay. And I think they're gonna be popping out right around the time that this push comes in. So it's gonna definitely cut down the lifeline of the push.
The importance of the timing of this push sometimes doesn't matter, to be honest. Like you're just using it to get some creep cleared up, and you know then you lead anyway. But against the build that Guru did, it can be something that is like maybe even insta win. If he had dedicated to the main base like I thought he was going to, and then he changed his mind, he would have happened to attack before the mutas were ready and the Lings were not ready on top of the Marines, and that can KO a Zerg. Instead, he changes his mind, goes off to the right side, gets 2 creep tumors.
Oh, dropping the main base also. Gonna be able to kill off 10 workers and also potentially do a lot of damage to the Spire. I don't think you should be able to get it as the drones. Yeah, definitely softens it up quite a bit. Well, loses the medevac.
Well, okay, 13 drones is better than what could have been nothing because I think he did miss an opportunity. But it's something that also Guru can probably recover from, because keep in mind, this wasn't just about him, changing his mind about where to send the medevac drops. It was also that it's apotheosis, and you guys missed it, but we talked about how long it is in the map, and that it does affect Terran quite a bit. It's like any type of Terran playstyle, whether it's constant aggression through a rally, hindered by the length of the map. Even drop wise, it's a skinny map, so the mutas get from side to side pretty quickly, so drops can sometimes be dealt with without a problem. And to even further delay that with indecision is... It's hard to call it so grim so early, but it really is.
Yeah, I don't know. It's definitely going to be interesting. It looks like, okay, finally the stream can hear us.
Good.
Like, okay, well, we did have another drop going on the backside. It looks like he was able to snipe off the Spire, which, by the way, was also research or something. I do, honestly, I like KeeN's position a lot in this game. Like, he's been able to cut, he wasn't able to like do a lot of early damage, but still 20 workers is a pretty decent amount. Also killing off the Spire, gonna halt that Mutila's production, considering there's only 8 out on the map right now. I do feel like KeeN kind of has the run of things in terms of what he's able to do right now.
Yeah, I think that was a pretty good equalizer, just momentum-wise. The numbers have not looked bad for either party here. We spread, okay is fine, and third base timing's fine, but just momentum-wise, I feel like KeeN was probably like, not super convinced that he did a great job, but now it's actually kind of scary. Trivial Hoax is also delayed heavily. It's not even halfway done right now, and he's going to go off of creep where this should be a lot more mutas than what he had here, and he does still clean it up, but he should have probably cleaned it up even easier had that Spire not died.
Oh, he lost 3 or 4 of his Mutilas? And considering his Spire wasn't done, that means that he's sitting on just 4 or 5 Mutilas for the next minute or so until the next wave of Mutilas is actually able to be made. And he's not even making Mutilas right now with his gas. He's instead making a lot of the banelings. Now finally going to make some of those Mutilas, as he does have a good bank buildup, I guess. But are they actually going to be coming out in time for this push-in? Looks like they'll barely be popping out.
So many things went wrong, though, because that Spire went down, I feel. Like, this is not just that the Spire missed out on muta making, it's that his entire game plan probably revolved around having a very high muta count with upgrades, which are denied. Oh, that didn't go well for KeeN. Ooh, Jesus.
That
went really quite poorly. Okay, well, anyways, to my point, because I don't think KeeN dies here, but damn, he took a bad fight, that he was probably focusing a lot more on mutas being built, so his Trivial Hooks was delayed, and it really shouldn't have been. His upgrades, unfortunately, are a lot later than KeeN's. He's already started +3, and of course the muta upgrades are also delayed, and everything just kind of started going a little bit south, like the Overlords being rallied in like that, KeeN getting some free ones. Looked like Guru might just start falling apart, but now with that attack getting really back into the game, his muta count up to where I think he wanted to be, 15+, now it feels more like the control Zerg that appears on Apotheosis.
Yeah, KeeN is continuing to rally more and more units across the map and should be able to continue some aggression. Even though he did end up losing quite a few units, he still does have the kind of upgrade lead going for him. Still has the potential to do something, but it looks like no, he's gonna back up. And I am getting a little bit worried now for KeeN, because now we're at the point where on this very, very long map, Apotheosis, if you just kind of let your opponent sit for too long, they do get that creep spread going, and it's such a long map that's hard to clean that all up. And you can see now that Guru is even starting to engage off of creep, but he can back up to creep and probably be okay.
Yeah, he should definitely, if he is going to attack off of creep because he's that confident, which I don't think he should be, definitely wait for your upgrades, at least.
Yeah.
And they're almost done.
+2 Carapace about to finish up, but here comes KeeN, moving across the bridge, scanning forward, making sure, okay, there's no banelings waiting for me on this side. And he will be able to get into a pretty good position because it looks like a lot of the army moves up to the top right to deal with the Liberator, but the ground army moves there too, and I think that's a big mistake.
Yeah, single Liberator just brought back most of the army. He did realize at the last second, like, oh, wait a second, I shouldn't do this, and pulls the Baneling Ling army here, but it's a bit off of creep, and a lot of the Banelings are rolling into some Marauders too. The concave, the spread ends up good on the backside, and Guru does need to take a breather here and wait for his Mitas.
Yeah, I honestly feel like just because Guru had taken that really good fight last time, he still has enough that he can actually deal with this army now, but it really still was not like an ideal engagement. One Swarm Host being made, just one. And here's the thing, I'm not sure with Guru if that's a mistake or not.
Yeah, I think that might be. That's the reason that everyone on hotkeys are Swarm Hosts.
Yeah, but with like,
one
most people are like, oh, but I don't want to make any Swarm Hosts ever. But Guru actually makes them sometimes.
He's gonna try and use it, I bet, when he notices
Yeah.
that he has it. He's gonna try and like go off to the left side or something. Actually, we haven't really paid attention that much to what's going on KeeN's base because he has been the aggressor, right? But he managed to get a 4th base set up. It's not a planetary, it's his main. So whenever Guru does really supremely take control over this game, if he ever does, that's not going to be a very good defensive point. I'm a little surprised. Well, I guess I'm not that surprised. This has been quite back and forth on who's taking the worst engagements, and Guru has not had that comfy bank to get to Hive and Ultralisk super quickly, but there is the Ultralisk Cavern. All right, I was waiting for that.
All right, well, here comes in the push in right before the Ultralisk Cavern is going to be finishing up. And I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm sort of surprised that there's no gas guns taking out this gold, but oh, Baneling's not getting the best hits, and that was a majority of them. Does Guru really need to sacrifice all that much to defend this base? This base is almost mined out. I feel like he could just wait until this army moved up the ramp instead of trying to continuously go down the ramp to engage against it.
Yeah. I gotta figure some of it's the AI, but also, yeah, letting those Banelings roll into the Marauders is gonna be a mistake. He's gonna go all in here. A couple of mice left. They mostly go off on the Lings, but the Banelings are all used up too. So many mutas, though. He's almost at 30 mutas, and there's only 2 Liberators.
Well,
he could take on an army with those mutas.
Yeah, he doesn't want to, though, especially with 3/3 Marines now out. And there's only +1 flyer attacks on these mutas, as well as one +1 Carapace.
If they're gonna tank with the Liberators, they gotta kill them really quickly. There we go.
Oh, or not split, or not stack up like that. Jeez.
Yeah, it does lose 4 mutas for that. More Libers are on the way. He's about to lose his base, but I agree. I don't think he needs to save it. He should probably just transfer the drones he can to other bases. He's gonna get an Ultralisk here now. Maybe that's too late. KeeN is just, it's so close. He's so close to breaking Guru, especially if he could get rid of that Muta count.
Oh, that Mutalisk count. I mean, it's there, but so many of these Mutals are so low on health from that Liberator attack. He's gonna end up losing a lot of them.
But there's not many Marines. That barely worked out. He lost 3 more Mutas. Of course, he's been maybe making some every now and then, but that's been so close to one good Liberator shot killing 10 of them, and that's drastically easier to take care of as a Terran player. And this is one of those scenarios where this is Frozen Temple. I think KeeN's already won. He's already pressured Guru too much because the reinforcements are like 5-10 seconds quicker. But Apotheos is really helping Guru it out here, and he's about to have a couple of Ultras with full upgrades, not just plating, but 3/3 too.
Yeah, 3/3 now just finishing up as chitinous plating is already there, and here we go. Ultra's moving on in, gonna be able to tank a lot of the early shots, and Zerglings, Mutals all charging on in. The Zerglings are all gone. The Mutals are fighting by themselves versus Marines with 3/3 upgrades. They kill off all the Liberators though, and it looks like it may not be enough with the reinforcements coming in. He loses a lot of his Mutals, 20-some Mutals going down there.
Oh, I think that might just be the killing blow. His Mutals were really what it was banking on. The Ultras coming out one at a time are also still going to be scary for KeeN, who does not have Ghosts, and he no longer has Liberators. What am I going to help a little bit?
Oof.
Oh, they exploded the Mutas too.
Yeah, that's less than ideal. Well,
it's a little
Infestor's coming
worrying.
out.
Yeah, Infestors and 3 more Ultras. That's where plating is going to start being like such bullshit.
He hasn't lost his important bases either. The left-hand base, like that gold expansion wasn't really that important again, because he didn't have any gas geysers taken over there. He wasn't really mining many minerals left over there. So really is about that left-hand base and a little bit about the top right, but probably wants to establish a new base at some point after he can finally get this defense up.
I would definitely say the middle right base. It has some creep spread, and it's off the focus. Yeah, he takes it. That's probably gonna get away for some time. Honestly, KeeN, with this small of an army, you see more than 2 ultras, and you just have to back off and wait for either more marauders or ideally transition to ghosts. Oh, it's a pretty big army.
Guru's moving a bit too far off of creep, I think. Is gonna end up potentially. I mean, with another stim up, he can maybe even lose one of these ultralists.
He's got to be careful of, accidentally not realizing he doesn't have any medevacs. He does have medevacs. He's been very good about consistent medevac production even as they go down, but it's one of those things where, like, you see a lot of Terrans think they have 7 medevacs and over-sim drastically.
Absolutely. Sort of interesting that Guru's just never took the gas geysers over at his new expansion. He didn't take them at the gold expansion either, so I'm wondering, like, where he's getting all the gas. I know the Zerg will obviously need more minerals for, like, the link floods and everything, but, well, doesn't have that many banelings in the mix. I guess the infestors are trying to look for connections also.
KeeN still thinks he can end this game, and even Guru occasionally thinks, like, oh, Ultras maybe can end this game. But they both have to realize, like, they aren't quite there yet. So KeeN does throw down a Ghost Academy. This is his natural. He's only ever been on 3 command centers. No planetaries to back off to, not that many Mule Hammer drops, and not that many scans, too, for everything combined. When he does have to clear up creep again, is all things to consider, but ghosts will certainly help out if you can afford them, that is.
Yeah, not only for the snipes, but also for EMPs on any of these infestors that try and get some big fungal growths down. Oh, nice medevac, or a snipe off over there by the Mutalist. Mutalist also denying some of the mining over here for KeeN, just halting a bit of that production. He's already down in supply, so halting any of the economy is also going to be really, really nice for him. If he can get to that max out point and then make the big push in, that could really work out well for him, especially if there's not that many ghosts out.
I really think KeeN should invest into another base, like another command center.
Yeah.
But instead he goes for as many ghosts as possible. Planetary would be so helpful when Guru is maxed out and pushing. Without it, I'm not sure he has enough of a foothold to even use the ghosts correctly. The lings will flood in, the fungals will come down. Drop going on though.
Okay. Up at that new base, it is going to be saved. Hatchery going down to a little over half health. But I do feel like this is the do or die moment over here for Guru. He's about to be maxed out, and the longer he waits, the higher in supply KeeN is going to be able to get, the better supply is going to get with all the ghosts coming to the mix. I think this next set of Ultralists, like, that's going to be the moment that Guru needs to do something. Oh! Would have mind shots killing off a lot of these Zerglings, but I do like this big counterattack on multiple different fronts, coming on the far left-hand side, coming in through this center-ish with some of these Zerglings, but they are all going to end up meeting up in the same path anyways. Just going to kill off a couple of workers.
He's really hoping a couple of ghosts come over here, which 1 or 2 do, because his main army is looking elsewhere. Now the good news about having command center is you can just lift it. Ooh, those snipes.
These are really, really nice snipes. And there's no Zerglings supporting this army over here.
Yeah, this is the real problem. Lings by themselves, not so big a deal. Ultras by themselves, still scary, but with ghosts, not such a big deal. He needs combined forces, especially if his counters aren't working, and they're not working that well.
He's lost so many of these Ultralists right now. Okay, it looks like nice fungal growth just locked down the medevac, and he needs EMPs, maybe?
Oh, God. The fungal went down anyway, but I think he's also out of energy. This might just be it. Yeah, I think it is it. KeeN. Yeah, he was looking good when the Ultras were alone. Those links come in, messing everything up. GG.
Ties up the series 1-1. Guru looking for a comeback.
That was a pretty long game, though, and we're going to get to game number 3. It'll be a KeeN's choice. It's going to be Frost. That was quick, but we're going to take a 2-minute break before end anyway.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are hopping into game number 3, and the volume is there. The sounds are there. I have unmuted successfully. Spawning up here in the top right-hand corner of the map, we have the teal Terran player. Give it up for KeeN.
In the bottom right, as the red Zerg, he is Guru.
What would, if you didn't know what TES stood for, what would you say it stood for?
True esports, which what it used to stand for. Why? What do you think it would stand for?
Team Extreme Supremacy?
Which is what it is now. Okay,
Yeah,
we'll
I
grade
don't know.
this.
I said that because I didn't really know what it was.
Wow.
Like, I really don't know.
easy.
No, not that I didn't know what it was. Like, I don't know what I would have thought it would be.
Oh, okay. I was like, so is it Team Tall? Close? Not close?
Team Tall?
Well, no, for the T, right? If you didn't know what the acronym was, you just have
Oh.
to guess. But you didn't want to say you didn't know. It's like the Family Guy episode where they don't know Meg's age, and they're like 16, too high,
Too
too
low.
low. Yeah. Anyway.
Oh. All right.
Frost was KeeN's map choice.
Yep.
I was gonna remember here. Frozen Temple, I guess, has already been played. What other maps would have been okay-ish for Terran? Oh wait, no, was New Gettysburg played the first map? I already forgot.
New Gettysburg was the first map. Second map is
Oh,
Apotheosis.
Okay, yeah, so Frozen wasn't played. Oh, I'm surprised, I guess, a little bit they didn't choose Frozen then.
Mhm.
Frost is not bad at all, especially if it's not cross-position. But, if it
Well-
was cross, it would be a little bit difficult, and I do wonder what KeeN's plan is here. Probably just to be aggressive like he was last game and just not, you know, take forever getting his reinforcements to the front line.
Yeah. Honestly, though, I mean, if you remember, I think the game that we saw from KeeN on Frost in the semifinals, which I think was also a TvZ, he didn't go for a 3-racks like Reaper opening or anything, like a super heavy proxy attack that a lot of people think
Ooh.
about for Frozen Temple for.
Yeah, it's true. Ooh. Wait. You said the new first map was New Gettysburg or not?
The first map for this grand finals?
Yeah.
It was New Gettysburg. No, wait. Oh, no, sorry.
No,
it was
it was
Frozen Temple.
That was the Bailing Fest.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Oh my god. We are not great at helping each other. We are not supportive.
Look, my excuse is I got off an airplane like 8 hours before the cast. What's your excuse?
See, this is when it would have been nice if we were muted for the first one.
I know, right?
Anyways, okay, so no, the first map was Frozen, that's right. You're really right, he didn't go for 3x Reaper, he got for the exact build he's doing right now. It's really interesting that Guru goes for another Baneling all in. He gets the Reaper, which, as we talked about, is very
Ooh.
important.
Whoa,
Grenade
okay.
Helped out so much.
Aggressive Banelings.
Yeah, just like, hey, I'm making Banelings. Good news. KeeN gonna try and save whatever SCVs he can. It's a little risky sometimes.
This
He needs those
is...
bunkers.
I mean, there's a chance that after seeing so many Zergons, he would have guessed it was a Baneling bust, but I am just surprised that you brought those Banelings in, because now there's going to be bunkers going up. I don't know if the bunkers are even going to get a chance to finish, but I think they're going to get pretty close to it.
Well, it's always important is that his Marines don't get away from each other or surrounded. So he's got to use the SimCity, he's got to use like SCV walls, and he does. Only a couple Marines got surrounded and killed. The bunker's finished, the supply depots are put back down. Guru was not reinforcing, so that wasn't so important. But, you know, I don't know why he started building drones, because this was a much worse all-in than the last one we saw in Frozen Temple. It killed 2 workers.
Maybe he saw the bunkers going down, and he's like, okay, this isn't going to happen, so he just doesn't even want to bother trying to reinforce. He's going to try and play greedy behind it.
I mean, that's true, right? Like, you can try and macro out of it as quick as possible when you realize it's not going to work. But on the other hand, a 2-base all-in is so all-in, it might as well just be like, look, just try. Just be that desperate person and try and make the all-in work. Because I don't think a macro game's going to work either. But I didn't think it was going to work on Frozen Temple, and it went for like 18 minutes. We grew almost won on like a couple of different occasions. And he's going to be looking for that probably same scenario where Mutalisk numbers ideally help him out here with this faster layer.
Yeah, like you were saying, they definitely worked out quite well on Apotheosis. We'll see if it can make it happen again. Stim is already finished up, and KeeN is on the way with combat shields. Should be getting up at least a decent enough army with the medevac coming out that he can go for some sort of drop harassment. And that is going to be a nice opportunity for him to also get some scouting information, because he doesn't really know that there's no 3rd expansion. He doesn't really know that there's a super fast layer on the way with all the gas geysers taken.
Guru taking a bit of a hidden base again, by the way. This seems very much like Frozen Temple.
I like
But with
it.
even less damage done to the Terran, so... KeeN has an opportunity to end the game, I do believe, just like he had an opportunity to end one on Frozen Temple, but he went on creep a little too much. Guru was really good with his control and his decisions when to take engagements. And KeeN, I don't think he should be just boosting over like this. This was really questionable, in fact.
I think
he should have unloaded somewhere else.
I think the thing is, he wanted to scout out the third. He saw that there was no third at the north area, but he wanted to make sure there was no third at the other location. And if there was, then he could have dropped between the third and really nice focus fire on all those banelings. But I was gonna say, like, yeah, he could have just moved up and down this cliff. But now that he knows it's just 2 base, he can overcommit to the defense.
Yeah. He's gonna find a third. That sucks. No! So much for that.
Well, so close. He tried.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you know, last game he eventually found the third base because it was like, wait a second, that's way too much coming out for 2 base. It's not quite at that point yet.
Wait, did something just died by it?
SCV?
He did see it. He did see it.
We'll play an SCV.
Yeah.
Carcass. I don't know if it really was, but yeah, you're right. So it is important that he sees it. I don't know how long it took him to start checking for it. The Reaper died initially, remember?
Oh, right, he got killed off super early.
Yeah, I don't know what it was.
Well,
it was a creep that had, you know, defected.
Now you have to figure out a way to deal with this attack and like the potential for drops over at this really far off location. At the same time, KeeN pushes on the right hand side. This is exactly how you're supposed to deal with someone who goes for a really, really far off expansion.
Oh, Guru might be anticipating losing it, and he is banking quite a few minerals with how much, you know, gas he has to have. So he just plants down what is a really quick fourth, but I want to call it backup third.
I don't think he has enough to defend at the front. Like, lose the expansion or not, GG gets called. KeeN goes up 2-1. 1 game away from victory.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah, he does.
Yeah.
Sorry. The way you said it made it sound like it was one of those, like, yeah, he does, like sexual innuendo reference.
Oh, okay, that's where you're going with it.
I was like, what?
I said it in a confident manner just because you see those tanks at the last second. That's such a good position for Terran.
Yeah. Right behind the rocks. Okay, well, Guru's got to make some magic happen. I'm just going to say Desant Station's still in the map pool, as far as I'm aware, unless it got vetoed.
It is. There's no vetoes.
Oh, right.
It's New Gettysburg.
Aw, New Gettysburg.
That's the other good, really good map, especially for someone who plays Mutilating Bling, which Guru has, I feel like, officially just adopted Mutilating Bling. You know, it's like the Europeans, I think still in general are more roaches than, you know, the Koreans who seem to always be Mutilating Bling, but we see a lot more players add in 2 out of 5 games Mutilating Bling, or all their games Mutilating Bling, like Guru.
Yeah. Then it even adds in the Stormhost just for the extra fun, which we haven't seen this series. We saw 1 Stormhost. I don't think he ever used that Stormhost on Apotheosis. I never saw it.
Yeah, he might have canceled it. I wanted to check because it seemed like it hadn't gone long enough on the production tab, but I forgot.
Should have just rolled with it. Should have just gone for the 1 Stormhost Locust harassment.
Yeah. Yeah, that, you know, kills a... I wonder if I could kill a reactor. Those locusts are a lot of power.
I'm pretty sure a one Stormhost Locust would be able to kill a reactor. Because you pop out 2, don't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know like 6 can kill a command center.
So I'm going to say they could kill maybe even a barracks, get it on fire. That's stupid.
Oh, they would definitely get it on fire.
Stop talking to me. Stop. This is dumb.
Time to grab. Observers should have a 1 damage attack.
To
kill off
see, but
Widow
that's
Lines.
dumb. Not actually in the game. 2 locusts killing like a barracks is dumb.
Well, hopefully one day they'll buff Stormhosts.
How? It's not an issue about buffing or nerfing. It's just changing.
They'll give
what
Locusts
Storm-
100 health instead of 50. It's like, we found that the Locusts weren't quite doing the damage in time before they just got killed off. So we decided to double their health. They went like full Warp Prism on it. It's like, we decided to give them 80 shields.
Maybe not. Oh, but really, it's like, what do you do the Swarm Host? What role does it need to fill? What is Zerg missing? At one time they're missing a siege unit and they tried Swarm Host and that, you know, that led to some things, but I don't think they're missing that now.
Yeah. I guess Lurkers and Broodlords. Just because Lurkers act as like that earlier siege check unit versus Broodlords. That's true.
Yeah.
But I think that they're still cool units because they act as a form of cool harassment now.
Sometimes cool harassment.
Sometimes cool harassment. All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, here we are hopping into game number 3 as we start. Sorry, number 4. As we start over here, the bottom right-hand corner of the map, top of the green Zerg player. Give it up for Guru.
Counting's hard, I know. I had to do it for all 9 games yesterday, and I'm really surprised I didn't mess that up. In the bottom left, as the red Terran, he is KeeN.
It actually reminds me of the days before Game Heart overlays existed and before we could actually input scores onto the overlays. We had to like do it manually through Starboard.
Oh my god, Starboard.
And I remember like there were like series that I would lose track of the score in because we used to do a lot of like the team leagues and stuff, and I would lose track of what the score was because I would forget to update it. And the series would end and I'd be like, wait, wasn't that game 3? I was like, no, that was game 4, like it's over. Like,
you know what we are? Like, when StarCraft 2 came out and you had all the old Brood War guys start casting, like Tasteless and Day 9 and whatnot, they'd always be like, yeah, I remember back how, like, you know, Dragoons are really stupid and Stalkers are really smart now, and they'd reminisce. That's us now.
Yeah.
It's like, in 4 years, we're gonna be those old people talking about 10 years ago in StarCraft 2.
Do you remember when we had to sync up our replays by hand? Uphill both ways?
Yeah, exactly. I will always mention that though, because I feel like even now it's been since I guess I started casting 5 years. But anyways, that people just, it's like, oh, she came with BaseTradeTV, and it's like, no, like I cast like WCS Challenger like 1 season before, like whatever. Like,
I was the official WCS Challenger caster. Not me, you.
Yeah, it's gonna be even worse in like 10 years. And you'd be like, that Fear Dragon guy, yeah, they got famous. He started posting facts on Reddit.
Like, no, I did. You know, actually, one of my first major projects that I always think is my first endeavor into StarCraft, it was something called Balance Battles. And if anyone wants to go look it up on Team Liquid. There's a thread for it. I made an entire like chart. It had nothing to do with pro gamers. It was all about doing show matches with like players. So a Bronze League player could play versus a Masters League player. The Masters League player would have to like look at the chart to find out what their handicap was. I was really proud of that.
That sounds fun. I know people have mentioned stuff like that before.
I did it back in like 2011 or 12 or something. I was pretty happy.
Yeah. You were cool once. And then you just did a bunch of North American stuff and no one cares.
Right?
I
still remember the first victor of that because it was like a King of the Hill kind of thing. But Anapop, that was the guy.
Anaprosser?
Anaprosser, Major.
That would have been amazing. Anyways, that's cool. I didn't know you did that. And I knew you in 2012.
Yeah. It was before you were TL. It was before the underrated team league.
Yeah, that's where I met you, right?
Yeah, that was where we first met.
Oh, memories.
I remember. I still remember that first like production call where it's like I think Pat was yelling at Mr. Llama because he had his shirt off the entire production call. It's like, go put a shirt on.
Kind of remember that.
Oh, okay. Well, I just have a better memory than you, as evident.
Yeah, I think you remember naked guys more than I do.
Yeah, of course. But all right, nothing really going on super crazy so far this game. Although there is a tech lab finishing up on this barracks next to the starport. Is he going to swap that over and start making Banshees? This is going to be a big swap up from some of the previous builds.
Yeah. I like it though. You know, 3 games, you do the exact same thing over and over again. This game, you really try and surprise the Zerg player. I mean, with Queens being so good right now, it just feels like automatically Hellion Banshee's gonna suck. But sometimes you catch the Zerg player off guard.
Yeah, it's been known to happen. But a couple of Zergans moving around. They did scout out at the front, not really seeing a whole lot. There is an Overlord that's just ready to move into that main base if it wanted to get some scouting information, but doesn't look like he's going to really be doing a whole lot in time. And honestly, the path that the Banshees are going to take is probably not going to get scouted until the very last second.
Baneley Nest is coming up pretty early with a lot of Lings, but I think he might be anticipating Hellbats or... I mean, you wouldn't make Lings this quickly if you're waiting for 1/1 upgrades for an all-in. He's He's gonna be making like about
That's a
50
lot.
lings. Yeah.
I wonder if it's just because he's saying, like, because I'm going for Ling Bling. This is almost like more of that Korean style, where when you go for the really heavy upgrades quite early on, this allows you to get up to really, really good upgrades early enough that you can go for faster ultralists. And that's sort of the idea behind it, is that he wants to really get to that late game stage a little bit quicker. I don't know.
I don't mind the upgrades being so quick. Just the amount of lings he was producing almost seemed like, yeah, he wanted to catch KeeN off guard. Because if you kill the Hellions, they really don't have anything producing. But doesn't quite work out that way. And Guru did just, you know, that was all not making drones, basically. Which he now immediately makes as he realizes it doesn't work. And, you know, the lings are going to be useful later on. It is going to be his first line of defense. It just was so early. It was like, it's like an all-in, right? Like, no, that's not what he's doing.
Yeah, well, the Banshee does get pushed back quite easily, even if it does end up surviving. A second Banshee was made, and second Banshee is very useful. I love when Terran players, it's almost like, you know how we go through this phase with all of the units? I mean, speaking about like old school style, where it's like, Ghosts, yeah, you know, you do the EMP once, and then you just kind of like let them sit at the front line and die, and it's like Infestors, yeah, you throw out one fungal growth, and then they're just dead to you. You don't worry about them, right? Like all these units that players just take forever to realize that if you just keep them alive, they're good, like Oracles. I feel like Terran players are finally starting to realize that about Banshees. It's like, hey, if you keep those Banshees alive in the late game, they can go in like when there's a 4th expansion coming down and kill stuff off.
Yeah, I always liked them because if they did go for faster mutas than I thought they were, they'd always chase the Banshees first. So that was like, they were like one only use for me. Yeah. Run, Banshees!
I feel like they're kind of similar to Oracles. Oh my god, these Zerglings are actually getting some good damage on, because the rest of the Zerglings siphon off a lot of the units for KeeN on the south side. Ends up killing off 11 workers, gonna be able to get out of there. Only losing a handful of Zerglings, that's it. Oh my god.
Yeah, not bad at all. I mean, he has the upgrades, and he probably noticed that too. Pick up the tank.
Yeah, I was like, pick up everything, not just the tank.
Yeah, that was certainly a miscalculation on KeeN's part. You know, I don't blame necessarily, because you think only lings, if they're blown away from the tank, right? But now Guru realized he had some stronger lings.
Yeah. +1/+1 is finally going to be pitching up over here for KeeN. And I say finally, not because it's super late, it's just because, well, 1-1 is already finished up for the Zerg player, which is sort of weird. Unfortunately, 2-2 didn't really start up for Guru already, so I'm not going to be keeping that lead for so long.
No. Taking out a chunk of those Marines really helped him for this later push here. This push from KeeN should have, what, how many more Marines? 14 more Marines, wow.
Ooh.
And that's something pretty dangerous, especially because Guru's creep spread is not that far out. But much smaller here, mutas, glaive worms with lings on the ground will definitely push those back.
Banshee clock. Okay, never mind. I was really excited about it. There were no there's one overseer on like this far middle side of the map. It could have gotten
run,
damage.
Oh Jesus, run! It's not just about running from the mutas; it's about unloading before the lings catch you.
All right.
Underneath them. So okay, he goes back to safety. Guru's not going to commit here, and he really, I mean, like, he's gonna be very confident in his ling.
Guru's going to commit over here.
Really? Hey, center step. There you go. Yeah.
He gets on top of the siege tank too.
Wow.
He is actually going to be able to take this.
Wow. KeeN, I mean,
oh my god.
to be fair, KeeN should have probably started stutter stepping a lot earlier. But damn.
These Mutalisks.
All that.
These Mutalisks are going to go uncontested now. They're going to be able to kill off the Medivacs or the siege tanks. No, they're going straight after the workers. Although the workers go after the missile turret, that does buy KeeN enough time to get up some units. Well, there's more Zerglings coming in. It's not over just yet.
KeeN might have to get up this third base for a time. His production has only just kicked in, but it is kicking in right now. And so alternatively, like, Guru also has to be careful not to overcommit, thinking he's about to win the game.
This is every Medivac almost. Every single Medivac's going to go down. Except for one.
Yeah, and the SCVs are still not safe. They go back to the missile turret, but it's lings attacking them now. Well, a couple of lings. I think they killed them. Yeah. But there we go. Like 10 Marines at a time will eventually push this back. There's no Banelings with this, and if he stops and makes Banelings, and that's just, you know, time for KeeN to take a breath and actually hold on here. But just constantly rallying his Marines, this is not working. He's getting surrounded by lings. He's losing his Medivacs, and Guru might just snowball. He's so close to it.
He's out of medevacs. He's making 2 just pop, so he's gonna be able to heal up some of these units. But even like the Marauders and everything on the front line that were tanking the damage, they can't really tank the damage. The Mutalists can directly engage these guys. GG.
He really should have stopped defending his third base.
Oh my God, Guru just overwhelms KeeN in sort of an unexpected fashion multiple times.
Yeah, KeeN did not expect the power of those Lings and Mutas. It is going to be the ace match, KeeN's map choice this time. We're going to take a quick 2-minute break before then. So see you in 2.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we are in the ace match. Get your ace matches out in the chat as we spawn up here in the top left-hand corner of the map, top of the green Zerg player. Give it up for Guru.
In the bottom right, as the red Terran, is KeeN.
This is the ultimate Swarmhost map that exists in the map pool, right? This is the map?
Once upon a time, yeah.
Once upon a time. Honestly, it's not even that bad now. Like, especially if you think about Swarmhost like in the center of the map, maybe launching the Locust Waves over the natural, or even coming back behind if you want to be super aggressive, launch them into the main base or something. There's some cool stuff you can do here.
Yeah, I mean, I see where you're going with this, and maybe Guru will, because again, Guru's been using the Swarm Host not in a cheesy, like, lol type of way. He's been using them in ways that make sense, abusing cliffs, short distances, run-bys, because they're kind of harassment units now, as derpy as they are. But I don't know. He's already having a tough enough time against KeeN, doing what is, like, more normal and probably more consistently practiced, so I don't know if he's going to add in Swarm Hosts. The last Corsair Cup went to the ace match between these two, by the way, and KeeN was able to take it in the finals. It's kind of like, is this going to be the ultimate revenge here? Is Guru going to take it? Or is KeeN just going to continue to have a hot streak?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, Reaper is going to be making its way across the map, see what information you can gather. And this is always sort of interesting. I guess it's pretty map dependent, since sometimes KeeN just sits at home with his Reaper, maybe a little bit paranoid about a big attack, but on a map like King Sage Station, you can make it across the map pretty quickly. It's worth just getting that scouting information off and even killing off the 2 Lings that wanted to make their way across the map to maybe be annoying, kill off an SCV.
Is that a second barracks? Yes, it is. Okay, so he's back to basics, pretty much. With the second barracks coming down, it's more like every other game besides the last one. Last one, those Hellion Banshees, they didn't contribute, though. I mean, they did contribute to the eventual loss, I suppose. They could have done better. They weren't the reason he lost. And this build is going to give him more consistent control. That's what really I feel is so good about this build and so bad about any other build. You know, a 1 Widow Mine drop gets picked off by Queen range. Now, Banshees have never been very good for some time, and now the Queen range helped with that too. And it just is so much better to have these 60 Marines unload and then have the ability to pick up and leave and come back later than to get units like Hellions and Banshees that really don't help out after certain points. Now you brought up, like, you know, they should be more like Oracles and, you know, used to scout and whatnot, and that's true, but it's not as good as 16 and then 16 more Marines, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just keeping your units alive and doing the bigger push in later. Like, you still force out units from your opponent to try and deal with it, and you get to reuse them later on. Zerglings, okay, I was like, are these Zerglings just gonna, like, kill off a couple of workers while KeeN's not paying attention? And it's like, no. KeeN reacts in time. Do have the double evolution chambers coming down relatively early once again for Guru. I wonder if he's gonna try and just get a lead on those upgrades once again, since we definitely don't have the engineering base anywhere near starting just yet.
Not yet. And he should have a lead. Sure. Just, it's a question of, does he have just the right amount of units to hold on against the initial push? KeeN really, I think, is quite scared of having a repeat of last game. That's why he was so hesitant to push out against those Lings on the SCV line. He was saying, choked up on that ramp. Now his medevacs are out and Stim is done. He only gets the 1 engineering bay to finish off his wall, by the way. So this might be followed up by a tank push with additional barracks as opposed to a fast 3rd CC, which I don't... He might have done on Frost because of that. It was like that Baneling bust first, but in a macro game that's so far been just, you know, we're doing our own thing. I think this is the first time he's going to do the tank follow-up, and Guru's got to scout that.
This Overlord is honestly buying himself a lot of time. Overlord does finally go down, but the Zerglings all come on in. Gonna be looking around for that third location. Did the Reaper just kill itself?
A little bit.
A little bit.
That did buy a lot of time though. You're right. Like KeeN, he should be trying to boost across the map and at least clear up creep. Instead, he's just staying at home now, which is very. It's not a waste of the build because as long as your units are alive, I think it's still great. But it's a little bit of pressure he's missing out on, and Gru can take a breather. And usually, any other Zerg I think is they're all mostly all getting fast overload speed. With this bit of a break, they might be bothering to scout. Gru is not, and he lost all his overloads anyway, so he does not know about the follow-up.
Well, he is going to spot out these two medevacs and the Liberator coming on in. Liberator going to be very annoying to deal with, but the Sporecrawler is in range of it.
It's so questionable. I don't understand why anyone does this anymore against Zerg. Protoss with War Prisms, Terrans with Liberators, or drops. They're going to have a Sporecrawler in the natural. It's going to mess up your plan. Why do it?
What if they don't?
Well,
See,
okay,
if you just stop doing it, then they won't build the Spore Crawler. So really, it's a long-term investment to get them to build the Spore Crawler the next game too. Even though there is no next game for this series.
I see.
KeeN's thinking about the next Corsair Cup.
It's the long con plan in the terms of like overall, Terran benefit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do your part for your race.
Yeah. But really, like, losing those 2 drops, I just said right before he lost the medevacs, as long as he keeps the units alive, and it doesn't really matter if he's not pressuring, as long as he has, like, the main push that looks strong, and he just lost 2 medevacs. Liberator probably would have been killed anyway, just harassing, but 2 medevacs full of units was, like, a really big addition to this follow-up.
Not only that, but he's also going to be sitting behind in those upgrades, because as you said, he only got that 1 engineering bay. There's no 3rd expansion that was thrown down. He is really gunning it for this attack to work, and having those extra units would have made a world of difference. Ooh, Zerglings come in from behind, looking for an opportunity to kill off any reinforcements, as well as just maybe come in for a big flank or a big concave. He is going to be in place for majority of his units, but Banelings need to roll on in. Centrifugal Hooks is only about a quarter of the way done, so he's not going to have it in time for the push. Just going to be relying on the creep spread, and honestly, it works out pretty well.
Initially, then the Marines start cutting back behind those tanks, and the tanks can actually start getting on top of Lings too. All right, yeah, KeeN. KeeN honestly probably just backed off in general, like entirely, but now he should definitely just pick up the
tank.
Okay. Oh, he doesn't really pick up. Picks up the tank, and that's it.
His Marines and his Marauders are just not good enough to be picked up by anything.
Apparently.
Only the siege tanks are good enough. But he does pick up a majority of the units. He's going to be able to get out of there with at least some of them. But this is enough Banelings that he can just continue the aggression. He could do a big bust in. Although I don't know if he needs to.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty perfect way to sum it up. I think he can. KeeN is also like... Keep in mind, this is not him about to be on 3 bases with 10 Marines pumping out at a time that he was so close to being at last game. This is just this 2-base attack that failed twice, first with the medevac drops, then with the tank push. And Gru could risk overextending, for sure, but he's about to have 2-2, he's about to have mutas, he has banding speed. He should just, I feel, stomp KeeN, especially if KeeN goes on creep like he's doing right now.
Well, good Widowmine shot over there, siege tank shot. Cleans up a lot of the Zerglings, but oh man, all these medevacs are so low on health, and I don't think any of them have any units in them. There's 1 medevac that has a Marine in it, and I think it might end up going down soon.
This is probably game.
Yeah.
Liberators come out, might be able to scare away the mutas.
GG!
GG!
Guru takes the grand finals of the Corsair Cup and also ties up his series score versus KeeN 3-3.
Yeah. Nice. Revenge for last week.
Ooh.
Now that's
decided, maybe I should just not make Swarm Host today.
Yeah, that'll work.
Alright, well, that does mean he walks away with the $60 grand prize total, but KeeN still walks away with $20. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to hop to a short final ad break before we wrap up and do our shout-out. So we'll see you guys in 2 minutes. Alright, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been an absolute pleasure to bring you guys a Corsair Cup this week. Big shout out, by the way, to Nick Greencastle, Pogo0824, and of course Crank, aka Oli Moly. Because we all know Oli Moly with an I is a guy. So, also known as Crank. It's Crank Smurf. But thank you so much for the hosts. Very much appreciated. But yeah, we are wrapping things up, and I want to give a huge shout out to, of course, Corsair, because Corsair sponsor, and of course helped make the Corsair Cup happen. So big thank you to them. Big thank you to Chairs for Gaming. So both Zombie Garb and I are sitting in DX Racers. We like them. If you want them, go check them out on the Chairs for Gaming website. And if you're in the United States or Canada, you can use the promo code BaseTradeTV to get a free shipping on your Chairs for Gaming headset. I am really tired today.
Wow, Chairs for Gaming headset.
Oh my god. Look, I already told you. I got home at like 2 a.m. and we had to like get up to cast at 9, but I had to get up a little bit earlier to like do setup and everything because I hadn't even used my computer for a while. You know what? I got a break. I got a break today, okay?
You could just let me do the shoutouts, bro.
Okay, do the shouts. Finish the shoutouts.
All right, Chairs for Gaming. Use BaseTradeTV as the code and get free shipping to the
I
United
know that's
States
your
and
cat,
Canada.
but it looks like you're reading off of a piece of paper now.
With ears. Corsair Gaming, look at my logo for the links if you're interested in buying anything from there. G2A.com, use code BASE to get a little bit off of your purchase. And last but not least, Yord Wood Watches, use the BaseTradeTV code to not only get like a really cool watch for a little bit off, but also to contribute to the future potential tournaments, as we had one with Yord Wood Watches for the Civil War. Same thing could happen again if we sell enough watches, so that's always something to look forward to.
And final shout out to Oli Moly. Thank you so much for our wonderful admin that makes everything super duper smooth and awesome. And I think with that, we're out. See you guys. If you want to stick around for the host, we'll probably host somebody. And then Rifkin will unhost and he'll rehost somebody else. And then, no, I'm just kidding. All right, bye.